Last night, the Republican staff of this committee released to the media a timeline that shows that they've interviewed 2 people who claim they were the ones who actually assaulted you. I'm asking you to address this new defense of mistaken identity directly. Dr. Ford, with what degree of certainty do you believe Brett Kavanaugh assaulted you?
100%.
The day after the allegation appeared, I told this committee that I wanted a hearing as soon as possible to clear my name. I demanded a hearing for the very next day. Unfortunately, it took the committee 10 days to get to this hearing. In those 10 long days, as was predictable and as I predicted, my family and my name have been totally and permanently destroyed by vicious and false additional accusations. The 10-day delay has been harmful to me and my family, to the Supreme Court, and to the country.
It was nearly 9 hours of extremely emotional testimony yesterday from Dr. Christine Blasey Ford and Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Willie, you summed it up on Twitter this morning, writing, quote, "In the absence of new evidence, how do Collins, Murkowski, Flake et al. Choose between 1, a smart, poised woman claiming adamantly she was assaulted by Brett Kavanaugh, and 2, a career public servant with a reputation of integrity and unequivocally denying it was him?" The committee is scheduled to meet at 9:30 this morning, where they are still expected to vote. Welcome to Morning Joe. It is Friday, September 28th. Along with Joe, Willie, and me, we have Republican strategist and MSNBC political analyst Susan Del Percio, former U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Alabama and an MSNBC contributor Joyce Vance, and Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist and associate editor of the Washington Post and MSNBC political analyst Eugene Robinson. Good to have you all on board. What a long week it's been.
Yeah.
It was an incredible day yesterday.
Yep. Well, so, Emika, what were your thoughts? And let's start with Dr. Ford.
Extremely compelling, extremely painful. I actually can sum it all up. I had tears in my eyes during both opening statements.
And let me ask you a question. As everybody was talking about yesterday, being such an extraordinary day, and you were tearing up. There were a couple times I was coughing, tearing up. What's the last political event that you can remember where you were tearing up throughout the day? I mean, I've never seen it happen.
No.
Other than, of course, every time Barack Obama gives a speech.
Okay, no.
But it was such an extraordinary day,
and so did you.
It was so. Well, I cried when Barack Obama gave speeches for a completely different reason.
Oh, no, you didn't.
But yesterday,
dined alone.
Yeah. but what an extraordinary day! What an emotional day! And yeah, you were tearing up through her testimony. You were tearing up at times through his testimony, just staring at his wife and the pain on her face.
That was the thing, as I was riveted by both, saddened by both. Then I would go on Twitter and I would see people I know saying the most horrible things and taking sides, and I felt uncomfortable watching this whole thing, and I couldn't help but to believe every step of the day yesterday that this is exactly what Donald Trump wants and what he's been working for since he decided to run for president. He sows doubt, he defames people, and he loves pitting people against each other. And I feel like Democrats and Republicans are falling for whatever joke he has played on this country. And I do agree with Brett Kavanaugh. This is a circus, and we're not going to get to the truth this way. And I was extremely sad for politics and for the media throughout the day yesterday.
Well, it was the bias, actually. If you could not watch both of these human beings suffering the way they were suffering and not feel empathy for them, then you were so biased and you were so sold into your political side. and you so determined what you were going to believe, then
But the reaction,
you really shouldn't be reporting.
I hear what you're saying, but the reaction to Dr. Ford and the passion that women feel right now for her it is due to Trump. We have a president who's been accused of sexual harassment and assault and claims he does it.
Right.
And we are, I think, collectively at this point
But Mika,
feeling...
what does that have to do with what I just said?
Because one woman has finally stepped up and she's finally being heard. And I think we're collectively responding to everything that has gone wrong over the past few years through her. And we believe her. We want to hear her. And yet there are facts that are undisputable. And here's one of them. There are a lot of questions and challenges to this case. And so it's painful to watch people digging in. Because I don't think in this arena that we saw yesterday, we will know the truth. And I think the weakness you pointed out in real time was him not saying that he could totally accept an FBI investigation.
Well, okay, but
that was the biggest hole.
Let's get to that. I want to make my bigger point, and I'll say it again. If you watched the opening statements and you didn't have empathy for both of those people, and you immediately went on Twitter and started trashing them based on your political affiliation, you shouldn't be a reporter.
Your anger with Trump.
You're too biased. You know what? I didn't support Kavanaugh. I've expressed why well before this.
I know.
Okay, but you can still have empathy again for what's going on, especially if he believes what he says and his life has been absolutely destroyed and his family's reputation has been destroyed and his children have had to endure this. What public figure can't feel for that person? I know, Willie, we were talking about this and talked about how compelling Dr. Ford was. Again, we teared up at her testimony. And Brett Kavanaugh. And talk about that. But also, there was, at least for me, and I think for you, a defining moment where sort of the guard dropped for Brett Kavanaugh. And suddenly he got on the defensive, and it just didn't make sense.
Well, he was defensive and powerful in his opening statement, and I think when Senator Durbin confronted him with the question of why not have an FBI investigation, things started to unravel for him. If you look at his tone and his posture after that, that's when he made the snide comment to Senator Klobuchar. That's when he went back and forth with Senator Feinstein. He looked more than defensive at that point.
It wasn't a Perry Mason moment. But if these hearings had a Perry Mason moment, that was it. And it's not going to change a single vote. The people that were going to vote for Kavanaugh before are going to vote for him after. But we all said the only thing we can do is, as humans, look at them and assess who's telling the truth, who's not. I still don't know who's telling the truth and who's not. Nobody does. I mean, but that was a moment where you just said, it makes no sense that he and every Republican are afraid to have an FBI. They can talk about delay. It's a week. We all know. The world knows what that's about. They don't want the FBI to talk to Mark Judge. The whole world knows that. And Republicans treat Americans stupid when they pretend it's anything else other than that.
Yeah, and we've said that for a week and a half now since we first heard about this. If you were Brett Kavanaugh, wouldn't you want a third party to look at this just so you could point at it and say, don't take my word for it, take the FBI's word for it? He was given that chance, I believe, 19 times. He's asked, would you want an FBI hearing? If it were me, I'd say, sure. Bring the FBI and look at it. I did not do this.
You know what? You would do that, Gene, the first day. You would say, bring the FBI. If people were saying this about me, I'd say, bring the FBI in. I want them in right now. You know what? Bring in the NSA. Bring in everybody you can bring in. Investigate it now. But the excuses, they've already done 6 on this. Listen, and they said, but Mark Judge has already done that. No, they don't want Mark Judge, because this is a guy, recovering alcoholic, a lot of other issues. He's not going to lie.
Exactly.
He's not going to lie.
They don't want that. And the failure to have an FBI investigation which both sides could put faith into, at least a measure of faith into, because it would be conducted on sort of an equal basis. It's not, my polygraph test. It's not my affidavits. It's the FBI's findings, whatever they may be. Without that, half the country is going to think the outcome is illegitimate, whichever way it goes.
And by the way,
can somebody seriously lose faith?
Can somebody tell Lindsey Graham he can scream as loud as he wants?
Yeah.
It doesn't change the fact, and it will not distract Americans from the fact that they're just trying to rush this through as quickly as possible because they don't want anything else to come up, and they don't want the FBI to have 3 days to talk to Mark Judge. They could start it today and be done by Sunday night.
Very quick. And versus a lifetime appointment to the Supreme Court. It's kind of an imbalance.
With a cloud, Mika, over his head.
So
thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.